Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you, as always, on a Monday morning on the West Coast. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop to discuss the latest and the greatest in the NBA. Combo, what's happening, my man?
I'm doing great because I'm on the greatest NBA live show on the history of the internet. So I'm doing great.
Okay. Well, glad to know that you have a good, you have a good perspective on life and how that works. But okay, we'll see how. Wait, that's a lot to live up to now in terms of.
It's easy for us, Coach Nick. Easy.
All right. If you say so. I know what you're thinking. Yes, I'm getting a haircut this week. I think I'm going for, the guy. I actually got a picture I want to show you. This is who I'm going for right now. It is share screen. This is the guy from Aliens and UFO guy. You know this guy?
Nah.
Okay. Really smart guy, by the way. Knows aliens and inside and out, and he's got that hair. So that's what I'm going for. I think I'm getting there.
On your House of Highlights debate, there was a young gentleman who kind of had your hair. It was actually the first person you debated against.
Okay.
Do you remember that or no? What? Go back and check. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
All right. I blocked it out at this point. It's been too long. Who can remember anything from 2 weeks ago, much less a month or so ago? So
fair.
At any rate, let's talk a little bit about this big win that the Timberwolves turned over. Now, the last 10 games, they're 6-4. It's not amazing. I'm not sure I love how they're running their offense. Generally, overall, their offense is good in the top 5, I think, in offensive rating, but it's just weird. That said, if you have Randall and Anthony Edwards, maybe you don't even need that much, right? In terms of offensive organization and stuff, because they are doing well. But it's like a 5-out, kind of stagnant. Not excited about it. But what are your thoughts so far in the Wolves?
I mean, Anthony Edwards is having a career year, and it's being slept on a little bit. He's efficient. He's more efficient in every way. The catch and shoot is even quicker and more efficient. He's getting to the rim like he always has. The mid-range is good, and he's averaging 30. So he's really like he lived up to the hype as an individual player already. Now it's just about team success for him.
And again, figuring out how to make this work. They're not playing with a point guard right now, which is kind of interesting when they started.
Ooh, and are you hearing the Ja Morant chatter?
Yeah, so we got to talk about that as well, because I would think I think Trae Young would have actually been a good pickup for them.
Yeah, you know what? I think we talked about this before, but I like that fit with Trae with the defensive big like Rudy, even though Rudy in some ways could give you problems on defense, which is really weird because he's a 4-year defensive player of the year. But I do like the fit with like a Trae and a Giannis, a Trae and a Rudy, a Trae and a Wemby, because that player could kind of clean up what Trae does, and then you get everything from Trae on offense.
Yeah, and it was like the deal they ended up taking back. It seems like the Wolves probably could have done something to do something similar. Do they have to give up Dante DiVincenzo, which I think would be tough? I think he's that kind of guy you need to have on the Wolves if you want to go on
for Trae or Ja. I like Dante, but I'm giving him up for that.
I know, but like you got to have that guy that can play defense and can shoot at that position. Generally, like you look at the last several title winners,
and could slide to the 2 if you have Trae or Ja, right? I mean.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm just kind of thinking of like that Caruso. I'm thinking that KCP, the Drew, that kind of guy.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. I think. I mean, I wouldn't hold on to a Dante DiVincenzo as an untouchable player where we're talking about Trae Young or Ja Morant. Well, Trae's done already, but I guess Ja Morant now.
All right. So I guess we'll get into that, because what's interesting is so you have basically by committee or whatever, like Randall kind of initiates some offense. Ant will. They'll have Jaden McDaniels do it, which I thought was interesting. And
yeah, can I go on a little rant?
Sure.
NBA Twitter has ruined the trade value of Ja Morant, Trae, and LaMelo. And I get it. They're not perfect players, right? They're not perfect players. But I feel like NBA Twitter is so anti-talent lately when we're talking about these dynamic guards. Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I need to do a deep dive into the most recent stuff from Ja, because what you're talking about is what I'm seeing is, has he lost a step? Is he not nearly as explosive as he used to be, and as effective? Like, that might be. I'm seeing a little bit of that in the clips, aren't you?
A little bit, but I mean, he's still going to be a really good player, because I think everybody just looked at the athleticism with Ja, but he really is like a true point guard. He plays smart. He could set the table. Obviously, he hung his hat on his athleticism a lot, but he's a really good player. Like all these guys in the 90s, if you were just like a guy who puts up numbers, who has shown that they could live up to the moments in big situations, that's not a guy you would usually trade, or have no trade value. But now it's like we look at basketball so differently because of, I feel like it's the nerds' influence.
Well, kind of, but like with Ja, for instance, he's just not efficient and never really has been.
Yeah, but we didn't even look at it. Like when Kobe and Iverson used to drop 40, 50, we didn't look at their efficiency. We just like, wow, they dropped 40 or 50.
I did.
Well, I mean, Iverson did bring a team to an NBA championship not being efficient.
Yeah, I mean, the Kobe one's a little tough, and he was more efficient than Iverson was, but Iverson's an interesting case and probably the exception to the rule.
Look, Durant is a lot more efficient than Dillon Brooks. Who's having more of an impact on winning this year? Dillon Brooks.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is I have a buddy who's got some serious algorithms who seem to indicate that Dillon Brooks does not have that kind of positive impact. That said, from my eye test, I don't believe it.
I hope he's not looking at just numbers because it's the toughness. It's the toughness that's
he's looking at numbers. He wants to put some money down in the games, and so he doesn't care about anything but the numbers.
Dillon Brooks' impact on winning is apparent. I don't care what the numbers say. It's that when you bring that element to a team that lacks toughness, he's going to help you. He's going to help you. In that kind of way.
And by the way, so the other issue is the defense, because you mentioned Rudy Gobert being the defensive player of the year, but has issues. The team itself has been having some serious issues. They've been better overall for the season, but the last 10 games, their defense has been terrible, and they got absolutely lit up by the Cavaliers of all teams to the tune of, I think, 142 points. So probably I need to dig into that too to see like what's going on there, because again, when you have McDaniels and you have Edwards, you have Gobert, you shouldn't be getting lit up like that either. And so there are issues there that you can really hurt the Wolves defensively. And so that's the problem I'm seeing there with the overall potential title contention of the Wolves, because the one team that is moving into that area is the Spurs, right? The way they're ranking right now in terms of offensive and defensive ratings in the top 10. There's a lot of metrics now that show that they're moving into that realm. But that said, they kind of, couldn't hold on the stretch. It was really rough down. They had a 1-point lead, and then Wemby doesn't run back hard, and they let him get a quick McDaniels bucket off of an advantage that should never have been there. Like things like that, you got to clean up right away. Clean it up, I guess, in January, so you don't see it in April and May.
Do you think Ja Morant makes the Timberwolves and or the Lakers legit title contenders?
Okay. Do they have to give up Reeves, the Lakers, to get him?
Yeah, they have to give up something. Oh, yeah. That would actually be like a good return, I think, for Memphis, especially compared to what we've seen with Trae Young.
Well, what we're seeing from the Lakers and some of their deficiencies is they need, Reeves, right? They need that guy from the backcourt to provide scoring. Would Ja do that? Yeah, he certainly could replace that. And if you don't have Reeves, and then
do you think Austin Reeves is better than Ja Morant right now?
Well, I mean, obviously from a impactful wise in terms of the efficiency, there's something there. Yeah, Reeves can certainly hit threes better, which is what they need. Ja, I think we're gonna have to kind of, that ship has sailed up for 3-point shooting. I just don't think we're gonna see him turn that corner. Even though we normally do, long enough into a career, usually it gets better, but not this year.
So one word answer, who's the better basketball player?
I would pick Austin Reeves this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, in general, just like Austin Reeves is just better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Austin Reeves is a bad man too. Like he can make people look foolish. He can.
No, I know I love Austin Reeves, but we were just talking about Ja Morant as the face of the league probably less than 48 months ago, not 24 months ago, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other problem with Ja is that, and we'd warned about this, like the way he played and how he was, he would just be reckless with his body.
Well, he changed that. That's the gift and the curse, right? He changed that a little bit. Like he's doing what we asked of him, but now he's not as effective. Yeah.
Or he's not as effective because after enough falls and whatever, he's just, he doesn't have the same explosion. That's what I need to do an even deeper dive and make sure that that's not the case, but it looks that way to me.
Or he's just mentally afraid of getting hurt too. It might not be the physical; it could be the mental. I'm not going to be an acrobat.
Right.
I'm not going to be.
There's that balance that you need to be able to figure out how to do. Like I played in the game. My family, we had a game for my kid. Wanted to have everybody play in a basketball game on the tennis court yesterday, and I haven't played, in I don't know, a decade. And I got to tell you, it didn't feel I couldn't figure out how to balance, like, okay, because they needed me to like score all the points because nobody.
You tell me you play. You tell me you play all the time. What do you mean you didn't play in a decade?
I don't play in games. I've been playing the game where we keep score. And
I thought like you were like, I don't know. You told me no. Okay.
I definitely not told you that. I definitely have not done it. And but I got to tell you, I was moving around pretty well. That felt good.
It's great exercise.
But I just couldn't. I was missing my threes by a couple inches, and we needed them. But at any rate, so I just wonder at some point, like, that balance you need to be able to figure out, like, how can I be really aggressive? How can I make the plays I want to make, but not end up in these terrible positions, which he would be in, like in 6 feet off the ground and 3 people underneath him, and he's going to land on them and then land on his head, butt or his back. And there were some nasty falls that he'd have in the past.
100%. I mean, look, when you're doing 360 layups in the air, stuff like that's going to happen inevitably.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I might as well just maybe I'll just let it go and completely crazy, and then that's.
Why are you getting comments?
I don't know. Anybody want to? No one's commenting. I'm just seeing my hair. At any rate, you know what? It's the time of the year. Just let it fly. All right. So what are we at? So we're talking about Ja. We're talking about potential. Now, I haven't seen a ton of Ja to Minnesota chatter. Are you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing it.
Where else?
Lakers, I'm hearing.
Okay.
And that's the two that I've heard.
Yeah.
In the comment section, who else is everybody hearing? I'd like.
Well, and how about this? From the Timberwolves' perspective, do they need to make a trade to like get to that next level where they can back to Western Conference Finals or the Finals?
Yeah, probably.
I would say so.
Yeah,
but they need it defensively as well, which is weird.
The exciting thing is that OKC doesn't look as unbeatable as they did in the first whatever games before they played the Spurs 3 times in a row. And I think that really made the league fun. Like now it feels more wide open than ever before.
Yeah. Although, I mean, like the tide is turned against OKC in such an irrational way now. Like there's that play that the Heat against the Heat where Bam, went up to contest a Casey Wallace layup. I don't know if you saw this was going around. And now I'm the guy who gets like tagged with all this stuff, right? I bet you're not going to, defend this because it's OKC. It's like I never cared at all.
You don't care about OKC. We hardly talk about OKC, and they just won the championship. Why do they think you're OKC biased?
Whenever there's fouls, and then people are like, this is not a foul. I'm like, well, here's the replay. Like, there is the foul, right? What do you want from me? But on that
you're a lot more into this like foul and referee stuff than I am. So that's your forte.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what 60% of Twitter is, I think, at this point. It's just like foul rate.
Why?
That's what I'm asking, especially when most people don't, the only thing they know about the rule book is from what they learned in 7th grade PE class. So it's like, all right, and if you want me to tell you what the rule book really says, well, don't get mad at me. And that's what happens. But, and let's put a bow on that. If you go look it up, I guess I can try and find it. We can share it maybe. It was a real quick play. It looked like Bam didn't touch him at all, and then he missed the dunk. But when you watch it again, there is body contact, and it threw him off enough where he misses a dunk. He's in the midair. And that's the other thing. Let me tell you this, Combo. When we're judging the degree of the level of contact and how much and how little, and when the refs have to decide whether to call it, it's a really big difference between contact with a player who's on the ground and contact with a player who's in the air. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, makes sense.
You don't need to have as much contact on a player in the air to have a lot more effect, wouldn't you say?
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's why you'd never want to push somebody in their back while they're in the air. Like that's a lot different than give them a little push while they're on the floor.
Yeah,
you're not attached to the ground, so you have less control.
Exactly. So the much smaller amounts of contact will require a call because it's affecting them and their balance and their.
But I just want to know from the comment section, like, is this what people really want to hear about? Like all this refereeing stuff.
Oh.
Like, is it like, why is it so interesting to them? I don't like. Let's talk about getting buckets or something. I don't know.
Well, that's a good question, and I kind of want to know because I was just talking about the MVP video we're going to do for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
And I wanted to then address, he went on and lit the refs up. I'm assuming they fined him. Did they find him? Did you see?
I don't know. I think something like that. I think he wants to fine, right?
Yeah, he wanted to fine. I mean, they're going to have to fine him what he said about the refs. I saw the someone did an edit, and I'm going to do it myself, but like I didn't really. Maybe one of those plays could have been a foul for him, and the other ones were all like, those aren't fouls. I don't know what you're talking about. Isn't that interesting? Like, that's the question. Do I just do the MVP version of the video and we don't really deal with that, with him lighting up the refs, or we got to add that section?
So Jaylen Brown was lighting up the refs because he felt like he was getting fouled and they weren't calling it for him, right?
Yeah. And I think, by the way, the context is like, I'm an MVP candidate. I should be getting these fouls that everybody else.
Well, I would say that SGA and Brunson probably do get more foul calls than Jaylen Brown.
Right.
I mean, and that's not just me talking. People around the league really feel that, from the people that I talk to, that OKC will hack you on defense and then call everything for SGA on the other side. And that's what's frustrating about playing them.
Right. And then we'll go through I'm like, show me the calls that you think are not, or that should be fouls on OKC. And then you look at the clips and you're like, it's not a foul. They're really good. They're great defenders. They know where to be physical too. And again, the other part of this is if I'm a little bit physical outside the 3-point line, or like near outside the lane, a lot of teams get to do that, and then you notice that they're not as aggressive when the guys are about to shoot it. Like, that's the smart part about it. They know how to be smart about defending the shots so they don't get those calls. And we see, I don't know how many more clips you need to see of like other teams that are equally physical. It's weird. Like, there's a fixation on OKC. Maybe it's because they're the reigning champs, but or maybe it's my trained eye. I don't know. I see the same thing that OKC is doing with other teams, and nobody seems to care about that. Very weird.
So you think OKC does not hack on defense, and you don't think SGA gets the benefit of the doubt more than other stars?
I think SGA probably gets it as much as the other stars. And listen, am I able to admit, or can we talk about the fact that, like, the stars will get maybe some calls that other players don't? Like, that's pretty fair to say, right?
100%.
Now, they're fouls, right? They're not like phantom things made up. But you could, on the margins and get getting a textual, you could say, oh, well, we know that, Dante DiVincenzo wouldn't get a call on that drive necessarily, maybe, fair, yeah. But we know that SGA would. And again, they're fouls. It is a foul. You could call if you wanted to. They'll get it. Maybe other players won't. I don't think that that's controversial. I'm willing to go that far, But then we got to start to see the calls that, SGA is getting. There's also the absence of the calls he doesn't get sometimes. People want to just ignore those. That quick pull he does, and this might be another video, but here's the question I want to know in the comments. Do you guys want to see a video where I show the fouls that SGA, initiates and gets, and then how often everybody else does it the same way and gets it, and then how often he tries that same move and doesn't get the call? Like, is that
you can't?
I kind of think it is, but
well,
I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing with that is you can't really prove it on video because you could just pick the times that it happened.
Well, then I'll
like somebody could make a video of all the times that SGA didn't really get fouled and he goes to the line. If you really want to, like, you can kind of get what you're looking for.
I don't know. I think most of the time when there's a call that he gets to go to the free throw line, you can see where the foul is.
Coach Nick, you are great enough at making videos to make a video showing all the times that SGA gets fouled and doesn't go to the line, but you could also do it the other way if you wanted to.
Right. But the thing, that's the point. I think the argument seems to be he gets fouled every single time and you don't have to barely breathe on him. Okay. That's not accurate in the slightest. And for the reasons that we're talking about, he doesn't shoot a ton of free throws comparatively, percentage-wise on drives.
I guess Denny's getting the most free throws, right? Is that true?
Yeah. And by the way, he would be the first guy I'll show. But like, there are role players who are also doing the same kind of move where you quickly pull up into the defender and grab that, whatever. He's not really shooting it, whatever it is. Everybody is doing it now. Now, we can continue to be mad like we were mad at Harden.
Everybody was always doing it, bro. Like, everybody was always foul. I mean, you call it what you want. Everybody tries to get to the line. Like, I mean, some players more than others, but it's always been a thing, Right. I used to try and get to the line when I played.
The thrust of the video would end up being not that he's not doing these fouls and drawing them, and we can even say, fine, he's not trying to shoot, whatever, he's just foul baiting. But like what you're missing is that everybody, this is how people play these days. Okay, then we might flip it back to the anger at SGA because he started it all. Like, okay, that's interesting. And even though he didn't, we know like what I think Harden kind of started it all, right? Is that safe to say?
No, I think everybody was always like they used to call Vlade Divac a flopper.
Right. Well, okay. But like, okay, we used to have that you shot fake the guys in the air and you jump into him, right? That was always a no-brainer. That's what you did. No one had a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit in that same idea, right? Okay, he's not quite like shot fake in the air, but he's in a bad position. Then we go up and we get that contact.
I guess okay. If you had the time to watch Michael Jordan play over the course of an 82-game season, every game, and you had the time to watch SGA play every game, I would think that you'd come to the conclusion that SGA is more of a foul baiter than Michael Jordan is.
Probably, I guess. I mean, you're going to say, well, look how much he falls down.
Yeah. Michael Jordan he wasn't flopping like that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but I can tell you he initiated contact probably as much as SGA did.
100%. I agree.
But
probably more. I mean, look at those Pistons series. Probably more.
It's just it's aesthetic, right? It's just the way it looks to you.
Yeah, it's part of it. No, okay, but I do think there's some players that foul baiting is more of a part of their game than others.
Right. Well, because you're thinking like he's falling because he knows that the referee will give him the call if he falls. Is what you're saying.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep falling. I mean, which is interesting because it's the same like with like taking a charge. If you don't go down to the ground, like they're not going to give you the call, right? So you got to go down no matter what if you want that charge. So
you know what? Some people, it's not in their character to foul bait. How about that?
Right. And
I'm not going to lie. I used to try and get to the line and foul bait.
Right. So here's the question: like, is that it's not noble? It's not a noble, ethical thing. And so we are upset. We don't watch anymore.
I can't get inside of Michael Jordan's brain, but I don't think he likes the idea of his opponent seeing him flop on the floor like a fish.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I mean, I didn't talk to MJ yesterday. But
no, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Listen, it always sparks an interesting, discussion. My brain is trapped in an excavate spiral. Yeah. Listen, every Tuesday, I'm not going to look at my mentions. No Twitter Tuesday mentions. I think that's going to help me. And I can admit, I can admit that, well, here's the problem. When you look at like the frame by frame stuff with SGA, there are moments when he's going to fall versus like maybe potentially land and twist an ankle, hurt a knee, whatever, right? That's a thing. But there's probably a few. There are a few in there. I'm sure maybe he's just falling. Yeah. He's like, I got to make sure he sees the contact. It doesn't mean the contact didn't happen, right?
That's true too. No, I agree with that. That's true.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the contact is happening, and so it's like at that point, all right, fine. Then it's like, I just don't like the way it looks. Although, again, okay, well, I have to keep reminding myself is it's not to them what it looks like. It is that in his mind, he is going to be cheating. He's cheating is what he's trying to do. Right?
Here's the yes or no question. Is SGA a foul baiter? So we could end this.
Foul baiter. Can we get that definition, I guess, exactly, so we know what that means?
Whatever it means to you, Coach Nick.
Does SGA know how to initiate contact? Yeah. Is he probably the best at it? Yeah.
And does he flop?
Is he really impossible to guard, so you kind of have to foul him to stop him?
Does he flop more? Does he flop more compared to maybe other stars?
Does he fall? So that's the question. I don't know. Is he flopping or is he falling because of the contact? But if we can somehow get into his brain, I can't do that. But does he do it more than anybody else? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of guys who end up on the floor.
There's a couple guys like Trey, Harden, Brunson, they foul bait more than some other players. I think, okay, here's another example. Jimmy Butler probably doesn't foul bait like those guys. He's a great player. There's just different ways to do things.
Oh. Jimmy Butler might be the best foul baiter of them all. And maybe the reason why he's the best
I don't know.
No one realizes what he's doing.
Okay,
that
maybe that's
guy
true.
Looks to get the contact before anything. He doesn't try and score. He gets near the basket and he's like, where can I find someone who's going to hit me? I swear to God.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. It's fascinating. Maybe that's the video. And Anthony Edwards, by the way, who also gets this, ethical thing, he does a little bit of the SGA stuff too.
Oh, Wemby says the Spurs are playing ethical hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Jared Allen for delving that, ethical hoops thing. Let's see what Chip says. The best friend of the breakdown, Chip. Here's what it boils down to. If OKC wasn't the defending champs and number one in the standings again this season, there wouldn't be near as much SGA hate for how he plays the game. It's interesting. I probably, right, it feels unfair, and that's why they're winning.
Wait, they weren't calling SGA a foul baiter before the championship?
Okay, were they? It really came to a height in the playoffs, right? That's when it got loudest. But your point is it was there, but it was always there in the past. I don't know.
I think it was always there. I mean, yeah, I think it was there.
It was probably there. I mean, not right when he got to OKC, right? Oh, actually, you're right. It was there because he was doing the whole head. To his credit, he doesn't do the head flopping thing as much, right?
Maybe.
Remember that he would do really egregious head flopping, which has been the mode of playing since I was a kid.
In Europe, they used to do that. When I first went to play overseas, they did that more than they do it here. Like, even if somebody was picking your full court, all the guards would go while they were dribbling.
Absolutely. My best friend, who was a D1 player in high school, used to play, would do that every time on a drive. And it was kind of compelling back then. You're like, oh shit, he must be really getting hit. Like that's what it looked like. And then like he's just throwing his head back no matter what. So that's all. It's like they're treating it like it's new, in the sense that they never had a problem with it before. So why is it SGA now the guy? It could be volume, right? He's doing it more than anybody else, and that's the thing. Or it's related to what Chip is saying, which is that, not only is he doing it, but it's like it's working to the point where they're like cheating, the system to win everything. And you're not supposed to. You're only supposed to get so far, I guess, with drawing.
I guess there's a world where it's like success kind of happened for a young team in OKC. So people are trying to figure out, like, how did they do this? Did they cheat? It's like, because they didn't go through the normal growing pains as other franchises have in the past.
And SGA is so much better than most players out there scoring wise that it's like, if you're going to try and use like what it's like, and I've heard NBA coaches talk about, well, if that happened in a pickup game, you'd have a fight or whatever. I'm just like, there's no way you can use a pickup game to compare to what any kind of an organized game with referees. It's like, we all know that, when you're calling your own fouls versus what refs call, it's like, we always know there's a huge, vast difference, and there's no comparison. It's not even worth bringing up. It's crazy to me. But people are using that, right? I know in my pickup game, we won't get a gather step, so they shouldn't. It's like, what are you talking about? But we got our first super chat. Thanks so much from Ventus Torch, which I think is the same person, but now I'm forgetting what their name used to be because I recognize the Minecraft thing. But anyway, thank you so much. Great to have you with us on the show. I'm a Laker fan, but I feel like Luka does it more, but can't hit free throws. So again, Luka, how is it possible that we were talking about players, the other guys do it, and Luka hasn't come up when he might be the king of this?
Yeah, as what I was saying before, European players probably flop more than here. You know? That's what I noticed when I first went over there. But now all the games are kind of blended together. But yeah, that's kind of how he probably grew up, that the good guards just did that.
So is it because SGA is Canadian? Like, something is triggering about SGA.
All right, what's your biggest takeaway from all this, Coach Nick? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think my biggest takeaway is that SGA is not an anomaly. Everyone's doing what SGA is doing, but they've focused on him way more than anybody else. And for reasons I can't quite put my finger on, other than maybe that what Chip was saying was that they're the ones who won, and that's the most egregious version. You can't get all the way to the title doing that. If you want to do it and get to the conference finals, we're not going to argue.
How about this? How about this? Who are the best guards in the league right now? Probably SGA, Cade, Luka, Jaylen Brown. You could call him Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards and Jaylen Brown don't flop like SGA. They just don't if you watch them play.
Okay. So that makes
sense. Don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying they're better or worse. Actually, I like Cade's game better than SGA, personally, but I'm not saying they're better or worse. I'm saying he plays more like a flopper than they do.
Okay. I mean, flopping is doing a bit of work here, right? But because again, my take on flopping, and here's what I was saying before, was where there's no contact and you're trying to convince the ref that there was, and that's that's kind of low.
So if you're saying if you get fouled, you can't flop.
Right. Now that said, I had used flop in someone else saying there was contact, but he just accentuated it so much that I used flop. So then I realized I'm like, you know what? Flopping does have more of a contact. Like if it was that easy for me to not even think about it and use the word flop when there was contact, just embellishment up the wazoo, then I'm realizing, okay, there is an embellishment as well, where it doesn't have to be just no contact trying to fool the refs. right? Flopping has a contact embellishment part of it as well. And now we got to kind of parse all the language because, listen, flopping without the contact is a cheating, right? You don't get hit at all, and then you like we had. Isn't there a Chris Paul one?
I don't agree with that either.
Isn't there the Chris Paul one where he kind of he chest bumps? What's his face?
I don't think manipulating the ref is cheating either.
Oh, okay. Well, now we're getting into some interesting questions. But okay, what
cheating is crazy. Cheating is like no. You're trying to do anything you can to win. I'm not even.
Chris Paul, who's the guy? DeMarcus Cousins is kind of starting to run down the court. He kind of gets in front of him and just chest bumps him, and then flings his head back and throws down. And I think he got a call on that one, right? Like that was egregious cheating. You can't do that, right? Remember what I'm talking about? That's a meme now, isn't it?
I don't know if it's cheating, but okay.
Okay. All those little guards, like the big guys running down the court, like maybe looking back at the ball, and they kind of like sneaking right in front of him and like get knocked over.
Do you think manipulating the refs to give you calls is cheating?
I think that I think it's against the pale to not have it when there's zero contact, and then you go down to try and convince them that
so it's okay when there's some contact, but it's not okay when there's no contact.
Yes. So let's get it to, at the very least, we have the no contact going down like your shot stuff. That's a real problem. Okay, that's cheating. I'd go so far as to say that's cheating, right? SGA is not in that category. There's almost always, if not always, contact. Now
Anthony Edwards feels differently.
What does he feel?
I don't know. I've heard some comments of him saying that you can't really touch him.
Right, you can't touch again, which is also kind of nonsense. Like that's the thing. You'll see them. That's not a foul, and you go look at the play, and it's like the guy is reaching in and whacking him across the chest. It's like, well, what are you not seeing?
So, what do you think? Anthony Edwards just can't guard him, and what do you think? He's making excuses? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, listen. How many times has a player complained about a foul when you watch the replay? And you're like, what are you complaining about? And by the way, maybe they truly believe they didn't foul him in the heat of the moment. You're not quite aware what's going on. I don't know. Maybe they don't. They really believe that, or they kind of forgot. And
maybe Anthony Edwards' mindset is like he's basically saying, "Let us who."
Yeah. So what he wants is let us be more physical. He's not saying I can't touch him. And when you say you can't touch him, that's a little frustrating because language is important. It stirs up the fans. It gets them irrational. That's a problem too. Like that's the thing. I showed it like with Cat. Cat fouls the guy. And by the way, that's my shoe. I'm wearing other shoes today, in case you're wondering what this weird squeaky noise is. Cat freaks out, right? And then the crowd freaks out, and then the fans are at home are like, "This is terrible, this call." And then you go watch the replay, and he hacked him. It wasn't, it's not even a question. But the damage is done. Now everyone's like, the refs are terrible. They're against us, whatever. There's a conspiracy that every ref is getting together. Because remember, OKC doesn't have the same refs from one game to the next, ever. There's probably never the same three-man crew throughout the whole season. So now you're trying to say, all right, they're all colluding together and say, hey, we're going to give them a break. We're not going to call some of these fouls that they commit. You know what I mean? And then, by the way, SGA too, we're going to give him a bunch of calls. It's like, that seems silly to me that's going to be the conspiracy. And then you say that's what you're saying. I'm not saying that. That's what the argument ends up being. I'm like, but you are. You are saying that they've somehow colluded to get together as en masse, all 100 referees in the NBA, no matter what night and what game they're refereeing. We're going to change the way we call the game because it's OKC. I don't know. I've never been able to get there. Can you?
Do you think that the game could be changed in terms of officiating when the NBA is trying to make the most entertaining product possible?
That's another interesting point. The reason why most of the rules have been changed is for that reason, because the fans don't like it. They're turning it off. It's too ugly, whatever.
Well, there's always going to be a segment of fans that are complaining about the reffing and anything. No matter, you're never going to make everybody happy, first of all.
So, because we don't want to go back to the 90s. Like, I think there's this weird pining for, like, they need to go back and call the game differently.
We done with the 90s.
I mean, you know what? The 90s, boy, it's tough because you're right. It was epic. It was so, on the edge of your seat, like really intense, right? Like those were, I don't know. And by the way, I'm not a fan like that anymore. I was such a huge fan of like the Bulls, for instance, growing up, that I can remember what that was like. I'm talking about aesthetically the way the game is played. I don't want to go back to that where you're like there's no movement, everybody's stuck in the lane. Like that's
the way offense is actually played is It won't go back to that.
Right.
And also, a lot of the reason the game doesn't change really because of the rules. The game changed because of the skill sets and the abilities of the players too.
It's everything together. All those things.
Steph Curry, big influence on the game. James Harden, big influence on the game. Kyrie Irving,
it's the imagination as well. Like we just couldn't imagine doing these things, and so 100%. It just takes a while, unfortunately. Because otherwise, it would have been nice to have some more of this creativity earlier on, and everybody would have gotten better over time.
Everybody did get better over time. I mean, I think most people agree every generation gets better in terms of skill and athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the 10-year-olds you see now doing stuff that you couldn't, adults weren't doing 25, 30 years ago. What was the question though? Oh, I know. The answer is simple. What they can do that would make it better, even for me too. Just play it playoff rules. Call it like it's the playoffs in the regular season.
I see what you're saying, but I also think the stakes change everything.
Okay. I disagree. Okay, if our goal is to create the refereeing environment where everyone is more okay with it, I guess is what we're saying, then just do the playoff rules, of which they did. Remember that, like in 2021 or 2022, whatever that year was, they started the season off letting them play like it was playoff rules. And everyone was shocked, but I think delightedly shocked.
Is it really playoff rules, or is it the intensity is bumped up? Because even watch pickup, right? Everything's going to look different when somebody has point game and it's close than when you first start the game, right? So I would equate I would equate that to like a whole playoff series. The stakes are just so much higher. The game is played at a different intensity. The physicality is up. The best players have to get in the mid-range because everything else is taken away in the playoffs. It's just, I don't know if that's a rule thing. I think that's just intensity and stakes. And I think we saw some of it in like the cup, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think I might disagree. I mean, I think that there's clearly a difference with the way that how much physicality they allow in the playoffs.
Well, okay, but if you're playing physical from the jump, it's almost like that guard that dictates how the refs call the game. They're not going to call 5 straight fouls on a guy who pressures full court and is very handsy.
Right.
They're not going to foul him out in the first quarter.
If players know that, then maybe that intensity will have to pick up, and we'll get regular season games that are more intense, which we've been getting, right? The NBA Cup has given us that too, right? They're figuring out ways in the margins to kind of generate that same intensity because, again, it's a long season. I totally get it. You can't sustain 82 games like that, even though I would argue that they did back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Like I would argue late 80s, 90s. I don't know. You know what? It would be interesting. Maybe I need to start watching with this prism because I've seen, I was there, by the way, in a lot of hundreds and hundreds of those games. It might be interesting to watch them again. I certainly remember a lot of intensity in those, when by the way, the league was smaller. There's 24 teams, not 30. So they played each other more often, right? That all does things to the rivalries and whatever. Do we even have rivalries anymore?
Chet and Wemby and the Spurs and OKC.
Well, I don't think Wemby considers it a rivalry, but we have OKC and the Spurs. That's budding, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Lou Williams said that Chet's not even on the level of Wemby, so it can't be a rivalry. That was interesting that he said that.
Yeah. And Chet's good. We can't take away from Chet too much.
That's great. Chet's great. It's just Chet's great and Wemby's generational. How about that?
Yeah. You think Chet's great?
Yes. He's a top 24 player in the NBA. That's great to me.
Okay, and you're using 24 because that means he's in the All NBA.
Well, it doesn't mean it means he's an All-Star level.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think those are all great players, especially in the league today when it's so talented. And then also he was like the second or third best player on a championship team. I mean, that's pretty great.
Yeah, and then
at his age,
defensive impact probably doesn't get enough, shine either.
Well, he doesn't get enough shine, period. And I think that's partly because of Wemby.
Okay. And partly because he's playing on a great team and there's, everyone to kind of keep rolling. And he's an unassuming kind of guy, right?
Like out of the draft, I had him over Paolo. Now how would you have it?
Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, Paolo has got to figure some things out.
So you would have Chet over Paolo, right?
Yeah, it's weird because I know coming out, like Paolo had a playmaking skill that Chet didn't have. That I don't know. I mean, we're probably still seeing that to some degree.
Before they won a championship, I was kind of debating somebody he's a coach on an NBA franchise, and he was saying that Paolo gets the focus on defense of the opponents more than Chet does. So you have to take that into consideration. But I was like, I don't care. I'd rather have Chet. I don't care what you're saying.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's totally different. Like, Chet and Paolo, they're not comparable in terms of what they.
Well, if you're a franchise with no real context, who would you rather have on your team?
Right. Okay. And that's another question. You mean, starting now, having seen their NBA careers up till now?
Well, out of the draft, I felt like it was Chet, and I still feel like it's Chet.
Yeah. I don't know. I think out of the draft, I might have still gone with Paolo, believe it or not.
Okay.
I felt like we're going to, get an LBJ kind of guy. That's sort of what I was thinking, honestly.
LeBron James?
Forward.
Okay.
Point forward, he's going to be a good passer. He's going to score.
I see what you're saying.
3-point shot would get figured out. It's still not, but you know what I mean? That's what I kind of felt. I don't know. I remember going through, and I remember I don't go a deep dives of a lot of the college players, but I know that year I definitely did a dive on him, and it was like, oh, okay, he should be able to get like 4 other pros around him, and and he has. We've seen that, right? We've seen a lot of moments where he's been really, really good and dominant. But it might even just be a function of like the way the Magic offense works, which is unfortunate. They haven't quite maybe solved the dynamic duo.
They tried to. They tried to get more shooting with Bane, right? They tried.
And then Bane wasn't. Let me check real quick. He wasn't.
Yo, it's crazy. It's crazy that what they have first. They got 4 first-round picks for Bane, and Trae Young gets no draft picks.
Yeah,
no draft compensation.
And Bane's shooting a career low by far, the under 34% from 3 on, and a little bit lower than normal volume here. That's interesting. Like, why? What's
Who's
going
better,
on?
Trae Young or Desmond Bane?
What's that?
Who's better, Trae Young or Desmond Bane?
Wow. You know why? Because Bane can create a little bit. It's a secondary or tertiary creator. He can shoot threes. Generally at a higher rate, but not this year. Because remember, Trae Young is, his 3-point shot. If you go watch the video I just dropped, and I explained sort of why they were willing to trade him. Although, you know what I screwed up? I should have I kind of got in a hurry to finish at the end. Trae Young's clutch genes are really strong. He really is good in the clutch.
Trae Young is clearly better than Desmond Bane.
Oh, Bane then gives you the whole thing on the other side of the ball that Young can't.
Defense, schmefense.
Right. It's got and defense, but it's got to be something. There's some version of it. It's not as equal to offense, but so is Trae Young better on offense to offset how much better Bane is on defense? Like that's the question. Probably, but maybe it's close.
Yeah, there's a lot of players. It's a totally different conversation, but there's a lot of players defensively better than Dirk Nowitzki that aren't as good as Dirk Nowitzki, right?
Right. Yeah. There's just intangible things. You get to watch the game, you can see it. But we are, and I know you probably got to get out of here in a minute, right?
Yep.
All right, let's finish it up. We got Ventus Torch. Thank you so much. Always great to see you. I think it's funny. LBJ got fouled a lot, but he doesn't get as much foul calls, but his are more obvious. Same with Jokic. Yeah, listen, we've heard about how, LeBron, doesn't get the whistle. He's so imposing. And remember, part of the reason why you call a foul is because it affects your, balance, speed, quickness. Chip needs to tell me the other ones. And when you're as big in the fast and as like a locomotive like LeBron, guys kind of just bounce off of you, right? And like, okay, that would be a foul to somebody else, but not him. And, that's how it is. Right?
Yeah.
It just didn't affect him. And it's not an advantage game.
The LeBron thing is kind of like the Shaq thing, right? Where they're just so strong.
Yeah. It's really impossible. Shaq was even more impossible to ref because it was like, and then he, at some point around 2000, he's like, F it, I'm just going to, give it back to anybody. I'm going to make sure I'm initiating as much as they are hitting.
Remember what he did to like Chris Dudley?
Chris Dudley. Brad Miller. The list.
I feel like he had a lot of respect for Yao, that he wouldn't do that to Yao. Right?
Well, I think he couldn't do that to Yao. Yao was a bit of an immovable force, right? He was so big, and had leverage. Yao's trunk, his legs were so big and strong too.
Yao's going to go down super underrated. Like nobody even talks about him.
Yeah, I just didn't play enough, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, he had some like he probably had 4 good years, right? 5 maybe.
Yeah, it's just, it's like Gale Sayers. You know who that is?
Is that tennis?
No, it's
baseball.
Football.
No, football
for the Bears. Anyway, he played like I think 6.5 years of good, and he was a Hall of Fame. I think he made the Hall of Fame.
Well, Bo Jackson's more legendary than all of them. He didn't have a long career.
Yeah.
Like we're going to remember Bo Jackson more than Yao Ming or Gale
Sayers. But I would argue that we know Bo Jackson because of the commercials, right? He was the subject of some of the greatest commercials Bo knows.
That's true too. That's true
You
too.
know,
But I mean,
can't ignore that. Where
I
you know,
mean,
other players do.
Penny had great commercials. He won't be remembered as much as Bo.
He did. Penny's commercials were some of the all timers. By the way,
I
like
agree.
you know, the best one that right now in my mind, if I'm trying to think, is Russell Westbrook's Mountain Dew commercials. Those might have been some of the greatest commercials featuring an NBA player. Swear to God.
What?
When he comes surfing through the scene like he's on a surfboard, but like whatever.
Come on,
and then
man.
the
Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan playing horse for a McDonald's commercial.
That's good too. But I loved it. And then something happens where the guy something in the commercial where he ends up
Grant
really ugly.
Hill drinks Sprite is a great commercial. Come on, Russell Westbrook's commercial might be 10, Coach Nick.
All right, I'll take 10th
Okay.
in all time.
Okay,
but you know, I love that.
Grant
stuff.
Hill drinks Sprite. Allen Iverson Jadakiss.
What's that?
Allen Iverson Jadakiss commercial.
I don't know that one.
Oh
well. All right, our last super chat. I think. Oh wait a minute, I missed a couple. Let's do this one. Sorry. Endgame. Thank you so much, Endgame. Really appreciate it. Again, this helps us keep our show going. It really does. The free throw disparity from the Knicks Blazers game yesterday did make me raise eyebrows. I wish Cat had the Denny whistle. Do you think Brunson is a foul baiter? Yeah, I mean, Brunson is a pinball machine, basically, right? Like he's just, trying to pinball off of anybody he can. He's small. This is what he has to do, kind of. I don't think he's hurling himself in unnatural angles, which would be the offensive foul, right? So the only other option you would have is no call on some of those. And that's tough, man. It's bang, bang, really quick. You got to have the right angle. But yeah, I think Brunson's someone who is not shy, if you can say that, right?
He's not shy. He's a foul baiter too.
Yeah. So, all right. Maybe we'll make foul baiting a good term. How about that? Let's take back the narrative combo.
Sometimes there is no good or bad. It just is what it is.
Only is. Yeah, Denny is a guy, by the way. It's a little rough. That Amen Thompson play where everyone's sharing, and I know, I think Chip even thought it was a foul. I don't see it. And I think the other problem is you'll see the fans when the guy kind of has his hands down, kind of just sort of running alongside, not interested in really defending or engaging, and then they get run into and they get a call. Again, you're not in defensive position, legal guarding position, so it's on you to maintain that. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to be near enough of eye, and they run into you, and that's to be penalized. It's bad defense.
I just realized why it's such an interesting conversation. I never labeled foul baiting good or bad. I guess that's what everybody's doing. Like you are a foul baiter, you're not.
It's bad.
Oh, people think it's bad.
Yeah, it's a bad term. It's a 4-letter term for people.
Okay.
Yeah,
you either are foul baiting or you aren't.
Yeah, and Cat complains so much, cries wolf so much that could literally, if I were consulting with him, I probably would give him a little insight into that, where the refs might, they know when he's gotten calls on. Well, it works the other way. Then when he has fouled people and he complained bitterly, right? Then if the next time it happens where he didn't foul, but he's complaining, they're like, you complain on everyone. I don't even know what to believe with you anymore. And I wonder that might actually end up coming back to hurt him on the offense. Man, I hope it doesn't. But Cat can be awkward at times too, getting in there. It looks messier than it is. But anyway, we got one more super chat before we finish. Coach ban Luka and Trevor in chat. Oh, you know what? I'll do that next time if I see him. I don't know what they're saying now, but I'm sure it's bad. So sorry. I think they're
spamming.
Oh, they are. Yeah, let's do that. Let's ban them for life because that's not good. What we see here. You know what? We used to have somebody who was moderating that, and then we didn't have to do it anymore. But and then let's ban this person. Yes, I'm at least banning them for now. Don't even you'll know what I'm saying when you see it. Okay. Anyway, Combo, thanks so much for coming in here and doing this for us as always. Good conversation. Don't you think that? Did anybody comment, by the way, whether I should do this video and include the Jaylen Brown fouls, no fouls? I don't know.
I would follow your heart, Coach Nick. Follow your heart.
All right. That's my heart. I like it. I like when a player comes out and says, "Find me," whatever, and then okay, let's see. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. Let's find out what the truth is. That's why we're here.
The truth.
We're here for the truth and only the truth. I don't care who it is. If it's the truth about you, Combo, I'm going to tell everybody.
Okay.
So don't.
What's the truth about me?
You better be worried. There might be some serious truth that we have to reveal about you. I don't know. I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out what it is.
Make a combo video that you know what that'll get Mr. Beast numbers.
Yeah. You're a foul baiter. That's what you're now. That's the truth you're telling us.
I think I was. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. By the way, 12-year-old, we were playing this family game I'm talking about. Come around a screen. The 12-year-old nephew was guarding me, gets his hand in there.
Oh, you foul baited.
And I just kept going. Now I didn't clamp it down like some guys would do and hold it there and take it with me. But I realized it was in there and stuck, and I kind of continued to moving so he couldn't get out of it, right? And then I kind of wanted to call a foul because I ended up losing my dribble off of it, but I didn't. So
okay.
I guess I'm a foul baiter too. I don't know.
Okay.
You're a foul baiter. I'm a foul baiter. Wouldn't you want to be a foul baiter too? That's the new song. Okay.
Let's do it.
Thanks so much for everybody out there. Great seeing everybody. Thank you, Chip. SQRB. I got to memorize SQRB. I always remember 3 of them.
Thank you for all the super chats out there. We appreciate
Speed, quickness, rhythm, balance. And the super chat, everybody there, multiple ones from Ventus and Taz and Endgame. Thank you guys all so much for everything. Great show, as always. We'll be back again at least on next Monday, if not earlier, from emergency. Who knows? We're going to have an emergency trade pod. We're going to have one, I'm assuming, soon, right?
Let's do it. All
right. So thanks, Combo. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you all later. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes.